amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remain blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
The 2023 election is a game, but it is already rigged against the Nigerian people. The sole winners, if we play the game as is, would be the Nigerian ruling class. Whether those be in the north, in the northeast, the north-south, the north-central, the southeast, south-south, or the southwest. Wherever Nigerians reside, the sole winners of the 2023 electoral game would be the rulers, or shall I say the ruiners of Nigeria, if we somehow make the error of walking into the game to play it as it is, because the game is rigged. The game is rigged in terms of the fact that personnel changes will not save us. So we can vote PDP or APC, or we might even delude ourselves into voting for one of the newer parties without clarity as to the change we are expecting, that we are persuading ourselves we're voting for. All that would happen is that you have different operators of the slave franchise. So what you're dealing with essentially is a situation where the Nigerian would have to decide exactly what he's doing in 2023. One, a game is rigged against you. You can either continue playing in the hope that you can somehow edge the system. That's the situation with those who gamble. If you play bet, all these bet, that is all over Nigeria. The game of chances. So you're betting. That's one. Second thing is, you could jolly well join them since you can't beat them. But I have a third way. And that third way is change the game. So as far as I'm concerned, 2023 election, the only relevance it has to the Nigerian people, I'll still speak to all the protests, which is part of the question you have asked. But it is critical and important that we understand very clearly that personnel change in 2023, even across board, without a clear electoral mandate being delivered to whoever is elected or are elected, will change nothing. Nobody elected on the strength of the 1999 Constitution who had not placed a restructuring agenda complete with a draft constitution before the people, before their election, can touch the 1999 Constitution. It would merely be a revalidation of the fraud called Decree 24, which is the 1999 constitutional fraud. Now, to speak to protests, there have been several protests, especially since the coming of Buhari. But the state has reacted by far more brutally than at any other time in the history of Nigeria, perhaps only equaled by the brutality of the Abacha regime. The protests are reactions to systemic injustice. But as protests go, the NSAS is particularly distinguished by the fact that the Nigerian youth became engaged. In their engagement with the system, they caused eruptions. And they've shaken this system to its foundation but they must take it to the logical conclusion. If the powers unleashed by the NSAS protests, if the sacrifices of the martyrs of the NSAS killings, not only at Lekki toll gate, where the commission where the panel has established clearly that there was a massacre. I'm talking about all the killings all over Lagos, from Ajangbadi to Abule Egba to Kokomaiko, Igbo Ilerin, Pedro, Shomolu, Bariga. All over Lagos, people were murdered wantonly by the security forces. If all this is not to go to waste, we must channel these energies, helping the people to understand clearly that personnel changes will change nothing. The injustices are structural, they are deep, and Nigeria cannot survive another 8 years of a visionless system that takes away the very foundation of our humanity, cannot even guarantee peace, security, talk less of justice. So 2023, we must engage, but we must engage first by registering to vote, and then understanding that it's not enough to register to vote. Understand that it must be a demand for a change of the governance systems and structures, so that the energies of the Nigerian can be unbundled and our people can truly be free of the fetters of Decree 24. I am not shy about offering my opinions, but I'm always very reticent about dealing with persons. But it is inescapable that when a man has offered himself for public service, we are left with no choice but to contemplate their persons and necessarily offer value assessments, and in most cases subjective opinions, because we're dealing with persons. But I would say that instead of focusing on the odiousness of the mass of those who have offered themselves, and they are mostly odious, it's been a gallery of rogues coming out to talk about wanting to be president of Nigeria, from the one who was convicted. Look, it's I recall that a few years ago I did warn that if we do nothing about restructuring our governance systems, the one that will come after Buhari will be worse than Buhari. And if you look at the gallery of rogues that have come out, it will be clear to you exactly what to expect. Let me start with the godfather of them all, the Lagos octopus. It wasn't always like this between me and him. He's never seen me before, never, not once. But when he was coming to power for the first time, I took night bus from Abuja to Lagos to come and vote for him. Prince Ademola Adeniji Adele, may God rest his soul, he was running as Sarumi's deputy. I slept in his house because his brother-in-law, my friend, lived in his house, and that was where I stayed whilst I was in the law school. I woke up in his house in the morning to go and vote. He was on his balcony, and he asked me, "Mandi, Odinlo Dibo Fumi Abi?" I said, "Ah, Papa, Emaro, AD all the way." Yeah, AD all the way. That was the mask. I voted him the first time he came around. It's one of the worst errors I ever made in my life, because I helped to birth today's monster. Now we have 22 years of his hegemony ruling over Lagos State, unchallenged, virtually untouched, unchallenged, supreme in Lagos State. His word is law. He rules the street, even as he rules the chambers, both of justice and of the legislature. What has he battered? He is effectively a dictator. He does as he pleases in Lagos State. There is a 22-year record to look at, and the record and the facts speaks for themselves. Res ipsa loquitur, we say in law. The facts speak for themselves. In the last 15 years, the road in and out of my neighborhood has been a construction site, building nothing but greed. A veritable tool for the pauperization of a people and the enrichment of an hegemony. They've killed for that toll gate on his watch, under his imprimatur. Now he wants to be president. When we are done looking at his 22-year record, which will be close to 24-year record by then, we will then look to his health, his mental capacity. 50 million soldiers, they will eat corn, they will eat cassava in the morning, and that's the person who wants to be president after the current disaster? Let's leave that man first. But let's deal with the system that has brought that actually emboldened someone like him. Nigeria would have deserved Bola Ahmed Tinubu if he ever emerges the president of Nigeria. Nigeria would have deserved him. It would have been, a well-deserved marriage. Because all the lies of this country would have come to coalesce together in the person of the president of Nigeria, if the like of him will become the president of Nigeria. I don't believe him a president, or rather a candidate. But because you've asked the question, and he's the elephant in the room, let me leave his person to the side, and then let's deal with Pastor Agborin, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Brilliant man, intelligent in the extreme. But his record in the last 22 years would suggest that we should not conflate intelligence with wisdom. And perhaps we should stop presuming integrity until it is proven. He found the grace to be Tinubu's Attorney General, designing the architecture of the capture of Lagos State and its privatization, and the trust of his capo as consigliere, and became, whether they dispute how that came about or not, the route to the vice presidency runs through Bodilon in one form or the other. 8 years it would have been that he would have been vice president of Nigeria, strutting around, defending Buhari in the face of the obvious. He has even said clearly that he wants to continue the agenda of his boss. Let's even assume, for argument's sake, that he's saying all those things so that he might not alienate his boss's supporters. Question is this: how does a man who has benefited so immensely from the system gain power and then presume to change the system? How? Let's leave Pastor Agborin for a second. I don't even believe a Yoruba man, whether we change the system or not, should be interested, at least for a season, in the primary office of the Nigerian state if it survives. Because it will be most unfair and inequitable to look beyond the land of the Igbos for the person that will be the titular head. I'm not looking for another monster in Asorock, but whoever is going to be the primary #1 citizen of Nigeria, at least for a season, that person has to be of Igbo extraction. Nobody with half a brain should be talking about it again. Why? Because equity demands it. But if we are now saying the Igbo should have it, who is the Igbo that should be having it? Is it a Rocha as Okorocha, a most odious, vile human being whose only distinguishing feature as a governor was the erection of stupid statues and construction of roads that lasted just one reign? That one wants to be the man who is on record as saying that he became rich by serving Red Cross. Come on. That one, it shows you that the system only ever pushes forward the worst. Or is it all Jews or Kanu? The court effectively the court has effectively said he's a thief. But because of a technicality, they should go and retry him. That technicality will never be available to a poor man or to a member of the lower classes. But it is available to him as a member of the class of those to whom impunity is available. That is the one who wants to be president. It is the worst of Ndi Igbo that is showing forward. The empire was eyeing. If any one of these persons become president of Nigeria, why would they be interested in restructuring Nigeria to give citizenship to the Nigerian? So you find very quickly that the system is throwing up what we should consider the very worst in replacement of what is already a disaster. Now, even if an angel somehow manages to gain office, let me use one of such angels as an example. Let's look at Kingsley Moghalu. Brilliant man, accomplished. He has spoken extensively to restructuring of Nigeria. But where is his plan? If he gains power, what's he going to do about it? How? If he's gaining power on the strength of the 1999 Constitution, without having mobilized the Nigerian people around the idea of a restructuring that he has placed on paper and galvanized them behind, how is he going to get this den of robbers called the Nigerian Senate or the Congress of baboons called the House of Reps? How is he supposed to be getting any one of those ones to take away the foundation for the food they are eating? They just spend billions to get into office, and you expect them to, or is he going to plan a military coup? The only way anybody can change the system is to engage the electoral process, let the people know and mobilize them behind your plan. But even we who are talking must understand, and this is one of the points I've been laboring to make for a few days, to strengthen the candidates who are not going to come from the established stealing platforms, APC and PDP. To strengthen those ones, we, the average citizens, must take time to register to vote. When we register to vote to the point where their talks become useless, their monies become useless, then candidates coming from parties that are not considered fashionable gain power in the collective will of the people to ask for change. But first thing first, register to vote. Without buying a ticket, you can't win the lottery. And it's the only game in town. We don't have guns. Even the state will be very happy. People who are not carrying guns, who are carrying national flags, singing national anthems, they kill them. How much more? You say you want to look, the Nigerian state is a practitioner in the art of violence. The only level playing ground, we can levelize the playing field only if we massively register to vote, understand why we are doing so, and then demand collectively as a critical mass changes that we desire. Other than that, we're wasting time.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.